All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Bottom Line Podcast, where we say what we mean and we mean what we say, because at the core of everything that is, was, and forever will be, there will always be the bottom line. All right. So today's guest ran a digital marketing agency, and she now serves as a real estate biz dev person for Cardinal Financial. She also
Yeah.
served as a host, presenter, panelist, and speaker for multiple small businesses and organizations, teaching social media branding and methods and how to generate leads online. And today that's extremely important because most of our business is online, at least for a lot of us, right? She was also named top 25 brand builder by a leading woman entrepreneur in 2017. She was recognized by New Jersey Biz as the influential Latino millennial media agency in New Jersey, and currently collaborates with the real estate disruptor team, which serves as a real estate hub for agents looking to grow and scale their businesses. Today's guest is the amazing Vicky Llerena.
Thanks
Vicky,
so much. Thank you so much. That was such a great introduction. I should use you to introduce me everywhere that I go.
yeah,
That was so well said. Thank you very, very much. Well, first, I wanted to start by debunking the myth that I make it look easy and effortless
right.
because I actually do want to share my experience. When I first started the digital marketing agency, I have no idea what the heck I was doing, what is branding, what is like personal branding. It wasn't even a term that you can learn in college, right? There was no class that you can take on it, right?
Right.
Marketing was just very, very basic and like the traditional marketing, but there was no class, you couldn't take a course on it. So when I started to get into it, everything was new from Twitter to like Facebook prospecting. Instagram still yet hadn't blown up. The word personal branding was still something that people were trying to figure out. So I was like nervous to heck when I just started to like
Yeah.
try and put myself out there. Like I hated the sound of my voice. I didn't like the way that I looked. When I tried to do photo shoots, I definitely, felt that it was like perhaps way too staged, not environmental, like your basic headshots with like, just and so I was like I was trying to figure it out myself. And when I first started, I would try and use stock images as
Okay.
social media posts, and I would try and run promotions as like the copy content, and I realized that that's not what connects with people. That's not what resonates with people. People do business with people that they like and that they trust. They don't do businesses with logos. They don't do businesses with a product, right? Otherwise, you wouldn't be in business. They wouldn't need you. You don't need sales reps, right? People do business with people who they like and who they trust. And so those same sales principles, how I apply them to social branding, eventually when I became better at it, I say, you know what? I really just need to start feeling uncomfortable with myself. So uncomfortable is whenever I give these classes on like social media branding to entrepreneurs and sales professionals, the theory that I use is this get out of your head theory.
Right.
Like, get out of your own negative thoughts. I hate the way I look. I don't sound like, professional. It sounds weird, camera angles are off, and I think that's all normal thoughts. I always go through those thoughts. I still struggle with those thoughts. But the more that you do it, the more that you mess up, the more that you screw up, the more comfortable you become at it, right? At the end of the day, people will forget. If the video lighting was off, your voice was off, the content was off, cool, you did it. People are going to move on from that. Don't stay stuck in your head. I always tell sales professionals, like when you start branding yourself on social media, it's going to feel very uncomfortable. It's going to feel very weird. You're going to feel like you're being very narcissist, perhaps, or just like it's too much, or
Right.
people don't care to see my face. Well, get out of your head. Get out of your own thoughts, right? The more that you do it, the more comfortable that it becomes.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That's great advice. So let's get into that a little bit, right? Just so people can understand exactly what it is when you mean, getting out of your own head. So walk me through your very first experience when you were actually, promoting yourself, getting in front of the camera,
Yeah,
and it was like, like you're saying, it was like the very beginning of this whole social
yeah,
media, right? Movement that we're
yeah.
living now. So walk me through that. How was
All
that
right.
for you?
So I'll walk you through like my first couple of videos that I made.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Vicky. I'm from Social Vibes Media, and I'm going to put a show together called Think Like an Entrepreneur, aired every Thursday at 6 p.m. And if you're an entrepreneur and you're watching, I hope you plug in. So scripted. So like,
Right.
what was it, like 20, I don't know, 2016, 2017 me.
Wow.
What I learned is that people don't like the scripted version of you.
Right.
This People don't like when you sound too robotic, when you sound too scripted. That's, old school marketing. That's commercials. That's like
Yeah.
ads being thrown at you, right? People like the authenticity of somebody else.
Right.
Always keep that principle in mind. People connect with people and not logos. So, a lot of my videos, the tonality changed. It's more, if I want to give you information, it's more like conversational style, because I don't want to come off as like this robotic, stoic Vicky, because people
Right.
can't connect to that. People can't relate to that. I think when we try and like think that we're supposed to sound scripted, it actually like it doesn't connect with people on that emotional level.
Yeah. How are you with the news? Like I listen to the news and I'm like, wow, like I don't think I could ever be a newscaster because I could never really like give out that tone that you're talking about, like how you just
Yeah.
did that. I'm not good at that. The best I could do is and then that's the other thing too. When I look at a script, it's kind of like I lose my momentum. So when did you discover? Was it like feedback? Was it like other people talking to you and saying, well, this doesn't sound like you, Vicky? Like when did you discover that you had to
I
make that
mean,
change?
yeah, I mean, listen, I'm in the sales industry, right? So I think scripts are helpful.
Yeah.
Scripts are going to give you some sort of structure. Like, I'm not against scripts at all, by
Right.
no means. Sales professionals use them, but what I'm saying is take that script and make it you. Make it
Personalize
you,
it.
right? Personalize it.
Right.
So,
Right.
I mean, feedback comes, yeah. I mean, it can come from friends and family and people that, like give you that constructive criticism, but also watching my own videos, like, you know, I I didn't have a shame, at the end of the night when you're laying in bed, just watch your videos, watch, your tonality,
Yeah.
the way that, like, if you move your hands too much, I
Right.
tend to do that and I tend not to do that, so just little things like that. I think, the greatest basketball players, greatest football players, those in the sports industry and really with any like athletic profession, they go back and they watch their performance. Even like the best celebs, go back and watch your performance
Yeah.
and then analyze from that. Okay, what could I have done better? How could I have delivered it better to my audience?
Sure, sure. Okay. Now let's go just like right now, current moment. Like, how were you impacted by this pandemic? Like, what are you saying to
Uh,
people
I
during the
sometimes
pandemic?
I sometimes feel very selfish sharing this, but I feel because directly I wasn't affected. Oh, your internet connection is unstable. Can you hear me and see me?
Yeah, I hear you. I see you fine. Yeah.
So I wasn't directly affected. I didn't lose any family members, and but I knew many people that did. So I almost feel very selfish saying this, but the pandemic was the best thing that could have happened to me because it allowed me to reanalyze the way that I do business and sales and say, hey, wait a minute, I'm actually saving 4 hours in a work day where it takes me 1 hour to get ready and shower, do my hair and makeup, and then it takes me another hour to commute to work. That's 2 hours, and then an hour and a half back because I'm hitting traffic, and then an hour and a half at work that we just BS. Now I have 4 hours that I can now squeeze into my day where I'm not
Yeah.
commuting, I'm not getting ready, I can plug in, and so those extra 4 hours allowed me to work on new projects. It allowed me to create new systems. And then I also took all my in-person meetings and I started to do them all virtual. Like I prospect realtors on Instagram.
Yeah.
I hop on video calls with real estate agents. So to me, that pandemic meant let's be more technology focused. Let's be more technology centric and see, how can you or anyone else, not just myself, how can you use technology to
Mhm.
help you scale your business and prospect more meetings a day and, connect with more people every day?
Yeah. Watching your content, because I've seen you on LinkedIn and I've seen you on Facebook, and you're very, like I said, personable. Um, I'm wondering, did you have any force? Because we were going into this digital age anyways, you know what I mean? And the pandemic kind of like accelerated this whole thing. So I'm wondering, did you have any foresight to say, you know what, I want to make sure I have an online presence? Like, did you see
Uh,
this happening at this
yeah, so
pace?
I followed the futurist Ray Kurzweil. Ray Kurzweil is just one of the top, industry experts. He's, futurist. And if you go back to YouTube and you look at his videos, what he predicted is that in the very near future, and we're not too far away from it, humans will be hybrid humans, meaning we will be half robots and half humans.
Huh.
And so one of his predictions was that, we will have nanobots installed somehow in our brain. And he's also, studies neuroscience. And he says these nanobots are going to be like, computers. It's going
Yeah.
to be like our phones inside of us, and we can like make phone calls and we can research something, and it's going to like expand our memory like exponentially. We're going to do some crazy things as humans, but we're going to be half robot, half human. Now, how accurate are his predictions? I don't know. We haven't gotten to that point yet, but he predicted that the computer would be the size of our palms,
Sure.
and
Sure.
there you have it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the iPhone birth. So, did I predict that the pandemic would happen? Absolutely not. Did I predict that this would happen so fast? I mean, I think uh, experts have already studied this, and technology, Ray Kurzweil says, moves at an exponential rate. Where human evolution moves like this, if you were to compare that with technology's evolution, it's like this.
Yeah, yeah, skyrockets. So I'm wondering more about like that online presence. You're an expert at creating that online presence. So did you see for yourself and maybe for like social media in general, did you see that having an online presence and being digitized and having an e-commerce part of your business was going to be absolutely necessary? Or is it something that you probably were like, well, it depends on the individual, it depends on the industry. Like, how did you feel about that? I say maybe last year around this time.
Yeah, I mean, look, everyone is capitalizing on their brand. I think on a massive scale, mass media scale, we saw the Kim Kardashian. I think she was one of the, like, well, I would say perhaps the Paris Hilton, was the
You
predecessor,
took it
but
way back. Yeah,
yeah, she took it way back. She was, I think, the real like OG of like personal branding. But
sure.
I think Kim Kardashian, learned from her, and we really saw the evolutionary of that Kardashian brand. And
Right.
they took personal branding to a whole different level.
Yeah.
No one really knew what they did for a living or how they made money, but anything that you throw their face on and their name on would sell out, would explode. So I think, it just looking at like from mass media, I
Right.
think people, entrepreneurs, small business owners, small shops from like a micro level
Right.
said, "Ooh, we need to get on this personal branding bandwagon, but how do I do it? Is it clickbait ads? Is it like Facebook ads? Is it putting yourself out there? Is it IG Live?" But there's so many things. There's like
Yeah.
so many things. So
Yeah.
listen, did I think it was going to happen this fast? I don't know. I don't know as far as, us being more technology centric because of COVID. I don't know if I could have predicted that. But, I'm in a way, I'm glad that we're more technology centric. I think it's going to allow us to do more business or allow us to scale our business at a much faster rate.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. So this seems like I said, for me, I think, and even though you say it wasn't that easy for you in the beginning, you have a lot more people who are like super introverted and they're very they're shy, right? I want to get
Yeah.
to a little bit about you, like, your childhood, how you grew up. Were you always so outgoing and extroverted and just goal
Not
oriented? Like, how were you
Oh
as a
my
child?
gosh, no, not at all. I definitely grew up one of five brothers and sisters, very humble home. Mom and dad just, worked and like anyone else, just hard workers. I was a middle child, so I have the middle child syndrome. I never got too much, never got too
Right.
little, but middle child is like always very independent. I was super avid reader, always like locked into my own little world and just would read as a kid. As a kid, I would just read. That was my way of escaping. I always felt very awkward growing up. I think just like, growing up with having like, now it's unique features, but when, like picture me 7, 8, 9, I just have like these very just like different features. I never felt like I quite fit in. Like I
Mhm.
didn't have that Latino look,
Gotcha. Yeah.
or like the white girl look. I just felt it was awkward, like just awkward for me. So I kind of just like dived into books. and I live vicariously through these characters and through these characters' feelings and everything. So I think I learned a lot about people, not by being around them so much, but more by like diving into the characters of these books. But such an introvert. I think now as an adult, I can say, sure, I can be introvert, extrovert, and I'm very comfortable being both.
Yeah.
I can be in a room full of 100 people networking, and then I can also enjoy my time, my space with no one around me. But I never considered myself an extrovert for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm still trying to figure out where I fall because I'm not sure still. Even for me, like I'm like, there's this ambivert side where it's like in
Mhm.
between the introvert and the extrovert. As
Yeah,
like you can be around people for a long period of time, right? And then
yeah.
you're like, I need some space from people for a while. You
But
know what I
but
mean?
here's the one secret that I learned, and Beyonce just happens to be my favorite artist of all time.
Okay.
You know, I always watch her interviews because I love to watch just interviews the way that, you artists think, is particularly her. You know, she talks about this alter ego that comes out, Sasha Fierce, right?
Sasha, yeah.
And how Sasha Fierce is different than Beyonce, the mother, the daughter, the friend. And so if you can apply that same principle, like when you get on that stage, when you are hosting that podcast, when you are about to go on IG Live, when you're about to do
Right.
your photo shoot, like girl or boy, like bring out the best out of you, get into your character,
Right.
dominate the stage, dominate that podcast, dominate that IG Live, dominate that photo show, like be bomb, be present, and it is this alter ego that comes out, even for myself, like, I don't, my photos, I'm all glammed up and heels done, makeup, but I'm not that every day. I can't be that. That's an unrealistic. But
Right.
it's the me that I like to bring out when I'm my best self on social. That is part of my brand, and it's part of me in a way. So almost take on that, like when you get on that digital stage, bring out that alter ego,
Right.
bring out
Right.
that alter ego.
Yeah, yeah. So you seem to be really good at doing that too. It's like so you've spoken on panels and you've done workshops. You're also a really out, I guess, an eloquent speaker. You're good at simplifying something that seems so complex, but then there's a level of like emotional intelligence that I think people probably need to tap into to figure out where they fall in line in their communication style and how they want to convey their message, right? So I'm
Yeah.
wondering for you, like how are you able to help people through branding, through marketing, through even what you're doing, through your biz dev work over at
Yeah.
Cardinal, how are you able to help them bring out that side of themselves? Like, what do you say to people?
Yeah. So listen, like I like to tell people, you're in the people business. Whether you're watching this, you're hearing this, you're an entrepreneur, you are a real estate agent, you're a real estate developer, you own a mom and pop shop. You're not in the product business. You're in the people business.
Right.
You're not selling your product or your services. You're selling yourself. People
Yeah.
are doing business with you because they like you. And again, I'm going to go back. They like you and they trust you, right? So what branding does, social branding or social media branding does, is that it amplifies that and it elevates that.
Right.
So, Dennis, you and I can have a conversation, this very same conversation, and we're at a coffee shop and we're not podcasting. We're just simply having this same exact conversation and it stays within that same exact moment just between you and I. But
Right.
now we've taken that same exact conversation and we're taking it on a podcast.
Right.
And so now other people that are going to watch this say, oh, I didn't know Vicky does that, or I had no idea she's involved in that. I had no idea Dennis podcast. Let me get a hold of him. So now we've amplified our message. We've amplified who we are and what we already do
Right.
on a larger level to a massive audience. And I think that's the thing that I want entrepreneurs and real estate agents to know. Listen, social media is not about, not just about hitting up girls and, following your ex or like posting something when you're upset. It's
Right.
not about that. Capitalize on it. Like I tell people, we're scrolling through our phones every single day.
Yeah.
Why are you not capitalizing on your audience?
Right.
So that is the power of social media branding. It's really, it's not about just you or posting a pretty picture or just like selling your services. It's connecting with people. But now I can connect with so many people. After people watch this podcast, how many people may reach out to me or reach out to you, Dennis, and say, hey, I'd love to book a
Yeah.
meeting with you
Yeah.
because I heard you mention something that may interest me.
Yeah. What's funny is that's the whole reason I started this thing. And I've been putting it on the back burner for so long. I was like, yeah, I'm going to get to it because I thought I wanted to get in front of people like physically, you know what I mean? And I
Yeah.
said, I want to start in like an online referral based network
Yeah.
that where you can talk to people and see how people, do business and how they connect, right? Because it does go back to people like to do business with people they know, like, and trust.
Yes.
So the more you can connect with people, I think on a more human to human, person to person level, then you'll do business. It'll just kind of happen. You know what I mean? But
Mhm.
now, like, okay, so you and I are probably from the same generation where the game is to be sold, not told, right? And the way I grew up, or the way I was trained when I was first getting into sales, was I was the legs of operations for a long time, especially in real estate, right? So it's kind of like you don't really learn, even if you're eager to learn. People don't really want to teach you because once you learn too much, you become competition, right? So there's always like this idea of, well, I don't know how much I want to help this person. Now you seem to have an affinity towards helping people. Like, you just generally or genuinely love to help people. It seems like that from your content, right? So how does that help you, right? Because a lot of people are like, I'm not going to help him because it doesn't help me.
Right.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So like, how
Okay.
does that help you to help
Right.
people? Like, what does that do for you?
Great question. Great question. So I can be that salesperson that can lead by product. I can lead by promotion. Hey, we got this 50% off. Hey, we got the best product in the market. And then you may do business with me based on that one promotion, based on that one product, based on that one transaction. I'm not looking for a transaction. That's the difference. That's the difference. I'm looking for a long-term relationship. So if
Right.
I'm looking for a long-term relationship,
Right.
then I really need to come in not product focused, but I really need to come in value focused. I need to come to you and bring value to you first.
There you go.
And if you see the perceived value in me, in our relationship, you're going to by default reciprocate business. This is like psychology 101,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
This is like psychology 101. Nobody likes to be sold to, but everyone likes to buy.
Right.
People like when you provide value first. We're no longer in the era where the biggest ads just have the biggest budgets that run like the most expensive ad campaigns on the like Super Bowl Sunday. We're no longer in that era.
Right.
People will pay to turn ads off.
Yeah.
If I have to pay those extra $10 a month in my subscription, cool, I'll do it. I just don't want to see an ad in my face.
Right.
And so then when you become less product focused, you're no longer leading by the best product on the market, the best promotion during this month. No, you're leading value focused, value centric. I think that's just by default, people are just going to do business with you.
Yeah. Yeah. I have that conversation a lot. Let's have value based conversations, right?
Mhm.
It's kind of like you kind of, without saying it, but it's mutually beneficial, right?
Right.
So that sometimes you're not going to connect with people, and you might be good friends, but you're not going to have a good business relationship. So it's like, okay, great. It was great meeting you. If you know somebody I can help, I'll send them your way, or vice versa, right?
Yeah.
That's one way to create a relationship. But now, if you're more focused on the relationships themselves and not so much on the product, right, or being transactional, how do you start that? Like, what are some
Yeah.
easy ways that people can start to create relationships, meaningful relationships?
Yeah. So that's a great question. So meaningful relationships. The question to any like entrepreneur or business salesperson is like, how do you prospect without coming off as like a sleazy salesperson, right?
Right.
That really is the question.
Exactly.
So meaningful relationships just come out of just like curiosity building, or like, hey Dennis, like, how was your day? What do you do for a living? Really, how did you get into real estate investing? When did you start podcasting? Like, how long has it been? Like, do you like it? Do you find value in it? So, just building that like relationship where it's focused more on them and less on you.
Right.
That really is it. So many times, people don't ask like, how's your day going? How did you get into this industry? Where, like, what are you working? What projects are you working on now? Really, that sounds cool. Like, just really learn about that person. Just learn about that person.
Yeah.
Don't sell them anything. This is just like dating, right?
Right.
If I'm telling you, Dennis, and we're like sitting across each other, we're on a date, I'm like,
Right.
Dennis, I'm like the perfect girl with the perfect career and the perfect life, the perfect bank accounts, and I love to cook and I love children, would love a family. It'd probably turn you off or make you think like, This is not like
Right.
too good to be true. Or why is
Yeah.
she trying to sell herself too aggressively, right? Or
Right.
why is she trying to so I think just people in order to seek meaningful relationships that then translate into business relationships, just really get to know the person.
Yeah.
Really just get to know, and that just starts with asking questions.
Yeah. Yeah.
Asking questions.
Yeah. I like that. That's the seven. So like I tell people, there's a 70-30 rule, right? Like you do ask 30%, right?
Yeah.
Let them do 70% of the talk and make sure they're checking your boxes.
Yeah.
In sales, that's called pre-qualifying, right?
Pre-qualifying, yeah. Yeah, I always
Pre-qualifying.
tell people, yeah, I always tell people like, and I catch myself a lot. So I say, if you're talking too much, shut up, like stop. And then just
Right.
stop. And then just turn into like, switch into an open-ended question.
There you
You know,
go.
if you would
Yeah.
talk to me like, oh, like, oh, Dennis, by the way, have you ever tried this? Or how long have you been into this? Open-ended question, because that's going to give you a break and it's going to stop you from like doom, 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 which is what
Yeah.
most of us do,
Just the verbal diarrhea. They just keep going on and they oversell themselves, right? So it's kind of like now you're pushing it and you don't give the person the time to attract the sale. Like you want the person to
That's
say, "Oh
right.
yeah," and to flip it. So like your conversation is mutually beneficial when your prospect starts asking you the questions and sees you as the
Yeah,
expert, right? If they see you
yeah,
as the expert and they value your opinion, then they'll start asking you the questions. And then 9 out of 10, they're probably going to ask you a question like, well, how much does your service cost? I have a friend that might be able to use that service. And then now you got a referral coming out of the deal, right? And
yeah, that's right. Or they may say, hey, I have a friend that actually may need your services, Dennis. Let me introduce you guys via email. Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
yeah. So like, let's talk a little bit about networking, right? Because we're not networking as much as we used to because of the pandemic, right? And it's hard for us to get to like in front of each other. And it's hard for us to get in places where we used to go to network. How do you do that now
Yeah.
online?
Yeah, you can do that online. Yeah, I love that.
How?
You actually can do that online. So look, the same principles as like in-person networking, I apply to like virtual networking, right? So in in-person networking, you're in a room full of strangers and you try and spark conversation with like one or two people. You don't want to come off as too weird either, right? So common questions like, hey, how are you? Where are you from? Awesome. How did you learn about this event? Oh my gosh, that's so cool. So those are like in-person networking. Well, really, the same principles apply in virtual networking. When I'm prospecting on Instagram or on social media, I will leave a voice message on Instagram because I think that's so personal rather than a text.
Nice.
I'd say, like, hey, Dennis, how are you? I actually see that we're connected. We like have very similar people in our network, and I just looked at your Instagram feed. I see that you are a real estate developer in Hudson County. I actually connect with tons of real estate developers, and I actually want to see like if you're open to like having a conversation of how we can partner up. So something like super relatable, but that doesn't sound like, and I do it all the time. I go through Instagram and I just try and like identify my target audience and I'll reach out via like voice message.
Got it.
Hey, Dennis, how's it going? I see that we're connected on Instagram. I actually took the time to check out your feed. I love the content that you're putting out. I saw the post that you did on X, Y, and Z. I'm actually looking to connect with real estate investors in the area. Would love to jump on a call with you to see how we can partner up for 2021.
Yeah.
Are you free this afternoon?
How's the
I love voice messages. I mean, I don't know about you, but I mean, would you be more receptive to a voice message versus just a text message?
Yeah, no, I'm a voice message guy. I'll definitely appreciate a voice message. To me, it means that you made an effort. You know what I mean? And that you're
exactly. You made the effort, right? Exactly. You took the time to look through my feed, and you made the effort. So again, you never want to pitch and sell on that like first voice message. You never want to, I get solicitations all the time on LinkedIn, Dennis, of like people that like a long paragraph that I know it's copy pasted and the only thing they changed was my name.
Yeah.
I don't know why people still do that. That may have been old school marketing, like maybe 6 years ago, that may have worked.
Yeah.
Where you could like take a template and then solicit on like social media. It doesn't work anymore.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
does
Yeah.
not work anymore.
Yeah.
People don't. People see right through that.
Yeah.
Like I look through all the solicitations on LinkedIn, and it's like, "Hi, Vicky. like, hey, we do like financial insurance services and we offer the best and we have all these plans. And if you're looking to a financial advisor, please don't hesitate to call me. More than happy to help.
Have you
Who are
noticed?
you?
Have you noticed that the people who do that the most are terrible at marketing themselves?
Yeah, they are. They are.
Have you noticed that? And then like the other part is like,
Yes, they
there's like a
are. They
whole,
are. And I think that's why it's important to have these conversations. Look,
yeah,
um, financial advisors, loan officers, real estate agents, sales professionals, they can be really, really, really good at in-person meetings. They can really, really good at selling, but on social media and branding themselves and prospecting, I don't think that they yet have mastered it.
yeah,
It's very old school. It's that very old school template pitch, copy paste, and let me send this message out to like 50 people on LinkedIn.
yeah.
Doesn't work anymore.
Doesn't
Work anymore. You need to be personal. You need to be relatable. People need to feel, like you said, Dennis, that you took out the time to look through your feed.
Yeah.
You said something that was like, oh, damn, they actually read that article. They actually saw that post.
Yeah. So, okay, for you, right? Because I think you're a lot like me, right? You're like, okay, so I know that that's like old school. That's not going to work. And you probably have the best intention. So like, I personally will be like, you know what? I want to reach out to this person so I can coach this person, because they probably do have a good product and they probably just don't know how to present it well. They don't know how to convey their message. So let's see how they respond to being coached, right? So I'll probably reach out to them just for kicks, see where that goes. But like,
Okay.
as a marketer, as a digital marketing expert, Vicky, like, what do you tell small business owners about marketing themselves and the difference between marketing and branding, right? So they don't have to send you a block message. The worst part about that block message is there's not a single question in there. It's a full-on statement. It's a full-on attack about what they have to sell you. So what do you tell small business owners? Like, what do you say to them about taking basic steps about how to cultivate that relationship? Or when they come to you and they seek you out and they say, hey, Vicky, you seem like you're an expert, you know what you're doing. Basic steps. I'm not really, good at branding or marketing. Help me out. What would you say to me?
Yeah, so I would say, remember, social media is all perceived value, right? I will probably never meet you in person. I will probably never shake your hand in person. I will probably never have coffee with you in person, right? So it's all now, what we have is perceived value. And so how do you build perceived value? If I'm on your LinkedIn, if I'm on your Instagram, if I'm on your Facebook, and I'm looking at pictures, scrolling through your feed of you, partying on a Friday night, and everyone in your picture looks wasted, that's my perceived value of you as an entrepreneur, as a sales professional, whatever industry you are in. Mm-hmm. So I think number one is build your perceived value. Start putting out videos and talking about mortgage rates, or how the real estate industry is coming along, or how the product on your hair is working, right? So build that expertise knowledge, start putting out content, put yourself out there, even if it's baby steps. Get uncomfortable with hearing your voice and taking pictures and going on IG Live. So before you even begin to prospect the heck out of people, right, as an entrepreneur, small business owner, before you begin to reach out, keep in mind, if you're going to reach out to me, Dennis, I'm going to go through your feed and make sure you're legit. I have little time to waste. Just think of, like, I'm a prospect. I have little time to waste. I'm a busy person. Right. Okay, what's Dennis about? Okay. Oh, cool. He does podcasting. He does this. Awesome. Okay, perceived value.
Yeah.
Perceived value. So how do you build that?
Yeah.
Just start putting yourself out there. Start putting yourself out there.
Okay.
Before you even reach out to people. Yeah. Make sure that those people, when they go through your feed, they have some sense of your perceived value, your expertise, knowledge.
Okay. Yeah. What's the difference between marketing and branding? Walk me through that.
That's a great question. So marketing and branding, although they're used interchangeably, marketing, keep in mind, marketing is like marketing we learned in universities and colleges. Marketing is old school term. Marketing can mean like old school marketing, like, I don't know, you bought newspaper placements and billboard ads. Now new school, you did pay-per-click campaigns and you're pushing Facebook ads and you're doing click funnels, right? Branding is a term that emerged, I want to say, I don't know, within the last 7 years or so.
Right.
Branding is such a new term
Right.
that branding is like, okay, what does your brand represent?
Okay.
What values does it represent?
Right.
What culture has it built? Who are the people that are going to align with those values, with that culture, with like that feeling that people have when they think about your brand? And your brand can be your personal brand. Your brand can be that community or that network that you build, like, in this case, the real estate disruptor or the disruptor network,
Yeah.
that's a brand, that's branding.
Mhm.
And realtors that resonate with that brand, they're realtors that are like that new school realtor that's open to branding themselves on social media, and they want to learn ways to bring in their own business, and like they're open-minded to just like doing things differently in the real estate industry. They've broken away from old school marketing. So branding is really like, what values does your brand represent?
Right. Would you say it's like similar to your reputation?
Yeah, you can almost look at it that way, right?
Right.
When I think about Dennis, what comes to mind? When I
Right.
think about Vicky, what comes to mind?
Yeah.
It absolutely is almost like your reputation.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So like, let's try to like expand on that, right? Because you have some people right now who are great individually, but they'd probably be even better and a value add and an asset to a company.
For
And
sure.
so they confuse the two because the company themselves, they're not big on branding the
Right.
business, and they're not big on branding their employees, right? But then you have somebody who's like a loan officer, for instance, who's probably an amazing person, and they're
Yeah.
really branding themselves, but they don't get to brand themselves for that company. So how do they distinguish between the two? And what do you think is better for someone to do in that situation?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I often get the question in like workshops is like, Vicky, how do I separate my business from my personal brand? Or the common question from sales professionals is, my industry is very regulated, so I have to, be careful with what I say, or my company doesn't really brand themselves. So how do I do that?
Right.
If that's the case, like that your industry is very regulated, I would say create a website that is that's not like, let's do mortgages, right? Create a website that's just education focused. You're only offering values, not pitching products, services. You're not pitching any of that. Just you're offering value. You're
Right.
talking about the market. That's A. And then B, focus on building your personal brand, because at
Right.
the end of the day, I'm going to do business with you because I like Dennis, because he's a loan officer that I'm able to connect with, that I trust him with my business. So focus on your personal brand. If your company's not big on branding, cool, that's fine. Just focus on building your personal brand.
Yeah. So in business, okay, so like as an individual, you build your tribe, right? Because of your personal branding. But now in business, what you build is your clientele, right? So how do we how do you attract your tribe through branding?
Okay, so I think your tribe is your clientele, and your clientele is your tribe, whether they're giving you direct business or referral business, right? Because I'm a firm believer, capitalize on your audience.
Right.
If you're already on social media, you're scrolling through feeds, your tribe becomes your clientele. Clientele becomes your tribe. So
Right.
that's one. What was the second question to that?
Yeah. How do you attract your tribe through branding?
Awesome. A great question. So we talked about branding being the values that represent you, or what you said, Dennis, like your reputation. So when people think of Vicky, what do they think about? When people think of Dennis, what do they think about? And so those same connotations, like positive connotations, whether it's hardworking, whether it's knows real estate, whether it's is a developer knowledgeable in specific areas, those thoughts come to mind. And also the values, that whether we're a funny realtor, whether we're just like the hardworking realtor, people are going to do business with people that align with their values. So
Yeah.
by default, the people that are become part of my tribe are people that are able, or that were able to connect with me
Right.
on that emotional level.
Got it.
They were able. And again, when we showcase on social media, like through my IG stories, I'll share things on my family and my nieces and nephews and my cooking and things outside of like,
Yeah.
the business life, because I'm a human at the end of the day. So, like, that's how you really attract the tribe. Your tribe is attracted to your vibe.
Yeah.
So whatever
Yeah.
vibe you're putting out there, that your tribe is going to be those people that are on that same mindset or level, or that can connect with you.
Yeah, so it's a little tricky, right? When I first started out in sales, it was dominated by men, and you are a force to be reckoned with, Vicky. I mean, you just are. You have industry knowledge. You're an expert in your area, and I think it's probably intimidating to a lot of people who think that they know what they're doing, and they're not really open to receiving constructive criticism. So now I'm wondering, okay, as far as like with men and women, right? And you seem to be like an expert. You are an expert pretty much when it comes to digital marketing, advertising, sales. You know exactly what you're talking about. But then you have the ego, right? And I
Yeah.
think the ego varies between men and women. So with men are not as likely to receive instruction and actually implement. Women are more outgoing. I see like getting in front of the camera and actually conveying their message. How do you see that in your space? Like when you're dealing with people prospecting, is there a difference?
That's a really good question. So I had the opportunity last year to sit down with Chris Voss,
Okay.
who's the owner of Never Split the Difference, which is like the top 10 seller on Audible for a while.
Damn good
I don't know
book.
if you had the opportunity to read that book. He's like mind blowing with the book.
Yeah.
So I actually sat with him and I asked Chris, I said, Chris, who do you think is a better negotiator, men or women? Right?
Yeah.
So he's like, that's a good question. So he paused and then he said, without hesitating, he said, women. I'm like, really? Why?
Really?
And he goes, well, for one thing, I think that women are better in control of their emotions, where men allow their egos to get in the way during an argument.
Yeah.
Women don't allow themselves to be controlled by their emotions. They're better in control by their emotions. So I said, interesting response, Chris. So why is it that the top 10 sales books are written by men?
Yeah.
Why is it that I have not read a book, a sales book, a really good sales book that's written by a female?
Right.
And he goes, that's a really good question. I never thought about it. And so we understand, through literature and studies and statistics that, men will always be top 10 in sales, top 10 in like, an organization, the top CEOs and top leaders. And I don't think this is shocking for anyone. I don't think this is shocking for anyone. But I also feel that, women, we need to come out a little more. I was talking with a friend last week and I asked her, where are all the women? Like, where are all the women? I'm in a real estate industry and, mostly I jump on projects that I'm the only female. I jump on projects and I work with groups that I'm the only female. And it's normal to me. I never feel weird about it or anything. But I think one of the things women struggle with is permission to speak. What does that mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, permission to speak. What does that mean? Okay. Have you ever been in a board meeting or a negotiation meeting or sales meeting or pitch with a female in the room and she starts her opinion with, I think this is something that we can do, or perhaps this is something that we may consider.
Yeah.
So a doubtful introductory phrase is almost asking your counterparts permission to speak.
Okay.
And so what I'm saying is females, women, we don't need the permission to speak. Let's emulate our male counterparts and let's remove the phrase, I think, or maybe, or perhaps. Those very doubtful introductory phrases already position us as if we're doubtful of our own opinion.
Yeah.
And we're not doubtful of our own opinions. We're just asking for permission to speak.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. I really don't know why. So, I encourage women, just go for it. Like, what's your opinion? Like, what do you think about the issue? What do you think about the proposal?
Right.
Without saying I think or maybe or perhaps. So I think that's a huge part of it. And then to answer your question, as far as branding, why are women better at it? Perhaps psychologically, we don't need that permission to speak when we are branding ourselves, when we're doing our IG live, when we're putting ourselves out there, when we're sharing an Instagram story. Perhaps we're not, across our male counterparts where we psychologically feel permission to speak, no. And we're more confident when it comes to our own personal brand. But that same level of confidence needs to be in those boardroom meetings, those negotiation meetings as well.
Yeah. Yeah. What's crazy? I started following women entrepreneurs after my daughter was born. And so she's 6 now. And I'm like, she's got this really tough personality. You know what I mean? And so I follow, like, look at Oprah, look at like Sarah Blakely. You know,
Yeah,
Sarah Blakely is like super unassuming, but
super.
she
So
sold,
good.
yeah, like fax machines door to door, and you're like, what? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
I
you,
watched her master class, Sarah Blakely, the founder of Spanx.
yeah,
And she like so crushed sales and so crushed marketing.
yeah,
She's awesome.
yeah. And I look at Oprah's story. You know what I mean? For her to have her own network, so it's like I start looking at that. Then you look at like, I think with branding and marketing, it's kind of like you get more women that are willing to take that risk and put themselves out there more with more
Yeah.
content and to just be themselves. And they're more
Yeah.
outgoing. But then, like you said, in the boardroom or like at a closing table, it's a little different. So I mean, now what about men though? Tell me about men, like from your perspective. Are they open to receiving that constructive criticism when you're telling them, well, this is going to be the most impactful. This is going to be the best, way for you to market yourself. Are they as open to receiving that or no?
Yeah, I mean, listen, at the end, it depends on the type of man that you are. Are you
Mhm.
confident in yourself that you can receive constructive criticism from your female counterpart?
Uh-huh.
Are you intimidated by her opinion?
Right.
It comes down to the type of man that you are.
Yeah.
I've encountered all types. I've encountered the alpha male
Yeah.
that sees her female counterpart as a strength or an asset to her organization, and I've encountered the male that sees her female counterpart as a threat to or to him or to the organization, or perhaps an unnecessary asset.
Gotcha.
So really, to answer your question, it comes down to the type of man that you are.
Okay. So it varies. There's no blanket approach
For
to that.
sure it does. Oh, for sure it does. I
Okay.
think to females, I think we need to start seeing men as our most valuable assets. I think where I take on most of my personality, my characteristics is from my male counterparts. I just watch them. I
Yeah.
watch what they do. I watch how they say it. I watch how it's delivered, and
Yeah.
I emulate those same traits. If they don't ask for permission to speak, why should I?
Yeah.
If they go for it and they negotiate and they ask for that high number, why, I should be able to do the same. So I've been very fortunate that I've surrounded myself with a lot of positive male friends that I learned so much from them, how they operate, how they think, how they're leaders in their organizations, how they execute their ideas, how they ask for resources, how they delegate. They don't feel bad asking. They don't feel bad. And women, I think we struggle with that sometimes.
Yeah.
So I would say, just like, girl, go for it.
Go for
Go
it.
for it.
Yeah, yeah. I think business is on some level, it can become more gender neutral. For me, I see it as gender neutral. If you are as well as outgoing as a man is, and you're a woman, and like Vicky, I would take because you're an expert. So if I don't know, I don't really do marketing and
Yeah,
advertising at that level. So if you were to tell me, hey, listen, I think you should try this, that, and the third, I'd try it. And then if it worked, I'd be like, oh yeah, I'd be praising you. But if it doesn't work, I would tell you just the same that this doesn't work, Vicky. You know what I
exactly.
mean? So it's kind of like you just got to play the game, right?
Yeah.
Where do you see, let's go like look next 3 to 5 years, maybe 10 years down the line, where do you see digital marketing? Where do you see social media? What does that look like?
I think I'm really in line with Ray Kurzweil's theory of the hybrid human. And listen, I'm not saying that we're gonna pop babies out our bellies that are gonna be half robots, half humans. But what I'm saying is that either you're with it or you're gonna be trying to catch up 10 years from now. So really just start to embrace it and use it to your advantage. Don't allow yourself to be manipulated by social media and by fake news and by these celebrities endorsing products, and you're making them help wealthier and wealthier. Like, figure out, how do you capitalize on that? How do you take that motto and how do you grow your business and brand yourself and brand your organization or your services? Capitalize on your social media. Social media is going to be the way that we do business. Like I'm telling you right now, I do my business meetings on IG video.
Yeah,
I do my business meetings on IG video. I don't use Zoom anymore because I
nice.
don't want to complicate the process. If you're already on IG, let's just video chat, man. Let's just like get to know each other. So listen, those that are embraced it now are gonna just like adapt to it and help them scale their business. Those that rejected it are gonna be catching up.
Yeah. Yeah, you're straight direct to consumer. That's how you're functioning. That's how you're rolling. Straight direct to consumer through IG, through social media, right? Should I do business on Snapchat?
I think so.
And should I download like a TikTok account?
Sure. I mean, it comes down to where is your audience on Snapchat? Is your audience on TikTok? Is your audience on Instagram? Clubhouse has been a popular platform now. It's the platform that allows you to just join, but via audio, no posts, no updates, no pretty pictures, just like your profile and your bio, and you're jumping into chat rooms and you can only hear the person's voice. So I think so. It really comes down to where does your audience spend most of their time? Are they on TikTok? Yeah, why not? You know?
Find out where your audience is. Okay.
Yeah,
I got
absolutely.
I got a lot from you. We're gonna play a quick game. It's called hands down, the lightning round. Okay. I'm gonna ask you
Okay.
3 topics. All right. With the 3 topics, you tell me your opinion. If you don't like the topic, just say pass and we'll move on. Okay.
Okay.
All right. MySpace or Facebook? If they were both around at the same time, which one would you be using?
MySpace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm so sick of Facebook.
Okay. Gotcha. Um, In-person networking or online virtual networking? Which one do you prefer more?
I still miss in-person interactions, but I'm going to stick to online because I can get so many more meetings in a week.
Got it. Okay. And in the future, we're going to have flying cars and we're going to have Uber Air. So are you the kind of person that prefers to drive or use an Uber on the ground, or would you like to be somebody who gets in the Uber Air to fly over traffic?
I want a chauffeur.
You want a chauffeur?
Yeah.
Okay. So you're still on the ground.
No, it can be on the air, or I just want someone to drive me around. I'm so sick of driving. I'm so sick.
Gotcha. Okay. Now for you, Vicky, what is your bottom line? That reoccurring truth for you that in spite of any setback, any challenges, that you use as rocket fuel to propel yourself upward. What is your bottom line?
I mean, bottom line, you woke up today, and that's another opportunity that you possibly would not have, or many people did not have. We lost so many people during COVID, so many people during COVID that if you're watching this, if you're hearing this, if you woke up breathing, thank God. That's an opportunity to create a better version of yesterday's self. That's an opportunity to like crush your goals compared to yesterday's goals. I just like the fact that you're living, you're breathing. That's an opportunity to just reinvent yourself, live the best version of yourself, grow mentally, physically, spiritually.
Nice. Yeah, I definitely appreciate that for sure. Where do people find you, Vicky?
You can connect with me on Instagram at Llerena, Llerena Vicky, Llerena Vicky. I'm on Facebook, Vicky Llerena. I'm on LinkedIn, Vicky Llerena. I'm on TikTok as well.
Yep. Find Vicky on all social media platforms. Vicky, you're a beast. You're the best at what you do.
Thank
Thanks
you.
again for taking the time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Definitely. This was the Bottom Line Podcast, where we say what we mean and we mean what we say, because at the core of everything that is, was, and forever will be, there will always be the bottom line.